Okay, welcome back to the fourth video of Unity's audio. First of all, apologize for having uploading a video for this series for like over 3 months, I think. I have some good reasons for why I haven't, but nonetheless, I should pick up the pace. But then again, I'm very persistent and I do intend to follow through the whole series. So I apologize, but don't worry because all of the videos are gonna be uploaded. Now, as you also probably notice, I've decided not to do the whole live thingy, just because I saw it's yet another barrier for me to actually make the video, because I need to make an event and schedule a date and make sure, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, let's just help me, get those video through, and one of those things is not doing the live. But fear not, because if you have any questions regarding this stream or any former stream, do feel free to send me a direct message, whether it's like via my website or LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram or email, however you prefer. Some people already did it and I answer quite quickly, and I was glad to help to whoever wanted it. So in any case, let's just try to remember what we had for the last 3 videos. So as you probably know by now, we went over the whole basic building blocks, but for the last 2 videos, we went over a bit of basic C# scripting for calling different audio functions. We talked about animations event. We talked about the difference between play and play one shot. We saw how we can use only few audio assets to create a rich environment using different randomizing variables, using randomizing functions. And what we're gonna do in this video is actually solve the last thing we need to do to actually close this chapter for the RedRunner's audio. And after that, we're gonna talk about, the UI of the game, different buttons and stuff like that, and more specifically, the Unity events. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So let's first of all go to our RedRunner prefab. And you know what? No, let's actually look at the bug we still have in the game. Let's make sure we all can hear properly. We'll turn off the music so we can hear it properly. Now look. When the RedRunner is running and jumping or falling off those stairs here, you will see you can still hear one extra footstep playing mid-air. Do pay attention. You see you can hear that extra footstep. Now, I'm not sure totally why it's happening, but I think it will be quite an educated guess to assume that what's actually happening is that whenever we're running or falling or running or jumping or standing or jumping, or just to say when we're crossing between animations, even though we're not really seeing the animations, it's still being called because there's probably some kind of an overlap between the animations to create actually a smoother transition visual-wise. The problem is we're still calling the animation event, and that's calling our footsteps audio, and we just can hear a footsteps air. So let's solve that. Now, after saying, or quite guessing, but again, I think it's an educated guess, about why this bug is happening, I need to look for something that actually will make sure that no footsteps audio is being called if I'm not touching the ground. Okay, this is trying to a bit go into a more of a game development mind here. It's we can try and fine-tune the animations, or we can ask the animator or developer to, hey man, it's currently the crossfader fade. It doesn't really work. We can try and change different plays for the animation event, then create a longer audio. What we actually want to do here, if you really think about it basically, without all these shenanigans I just described, we just want to make sure we're only calling the footsteps audio if the RedRunner is touching the ground. Now, because I know those types of projects by now, and I went through the project, before I made this whole live stream, I've noticed there is a mechanism that always detects on every frame if the character is touching the ground. Because this game needs it not only for these audio purposes, there are other purposes where we as the developers want to know if the character is currently on the ground or is it on mid-air, if it's because it jumped or because it's just falling. In any case, we have a mechanism for that. Now, if we're gonna go to the RedRunner and we're gonna go to the original script, and this script, sorry, and I recommend you will try it, you will see if we open it up and we'll click Control F to do some search and we'll type in ground, you can see we already have something here that will hint us that there's something like that. Like there's a script called GroundCheck, and if we'll search around the game, we can see like, different methods in the game, in the script, that different methods and different functions here are searching for this GroundCheck different functions, and we're also gonna do it for our footsteps. There you go, this is how they used it for the original sound of the game. And we're gonna do some quite similar mechanics here. Now, because I also went even more in depth in this game, you can see that under the RedRunner parent game object, you have all of those different game objects, and one of them will be GroundCheck. And this is where the developer, or the guy who made this specific RedRunner, actually have a script here that its sole job of the script is to just detect if currently the RedRunner is touching the ground or not. And we have all of this method here that happens, if you can see, on the update function, which means it's being called on every frame. And we have an option to actually call this GroundCheck script from a different script and see on every frame if the red character is touching the ground or not touching the ground. In order to do so, we're gonna tap in, and you will see in a jiffy how we're gonna do that, into this public boolean is grounded. Now, just a quick word about a boolean. A boolean is a variable in C# and also I believe in other scripting language that returns only two values, true or false. So on every frame, we have a function, that checks if the RedRunner touches the ground or not touches the ground. And if it touches the ground, it would return true. If it not touches the ground, it will return false. Okay, so let's dive into it. Under our RedRunnerAudio script that we already worked on, we gotta call this GroundCheck script. And we're gonna type in serialized field, as we did beforehand, private, and you will see that if I'll type the GroundCheck name, the actual script, Visual Studio will already know what I'm referencing here, and it's gonna color it like this turquoise color. And right now, I'm actually referencing the actual GroundCheck script, but now I need to give it a name so I can actually address it in this RedRunnerAudio class. And let's call it GroundCheck with lowercase g. And let's close this method. So right now, I have a private but serialized field reference to the actual GroundCheck script here, which means that if I'll call that GroundCheck script, I can also be looking for this private boolean for the is grounded. Okay, so now let's think about it. I want to call this footsteps audio function every time the animation event on the actual running is happening, but I don't want it to play if the character is in the air. So let's say an animation event is being called and it's called its footsteps audio. Before it's going throughout this whole audio clip array and doing the whole pitch and volume shenanigans, I want to check if we're touching the ground or not. If we're not touching the ground, we're gonna return, or saying it like in a non-scripting language, we're gonna skip this whole code snippet. If we are touching the ground on this current frame that this footsteps audio is being called, you can go ahead and go throughout this whole function. Now, what I just described is an if condition, like check if the red character is touching the ground or if it's not touching the ground. And in order to write down an if condition, we're just gonna type, again, as bluntly as it sounds, if, open parenthesis, and I'm gonna access, you can already see Visual Studio's like, come on, Dean, I know what you're trying to do here. Let's access the GroundCheck, and remember it's a lower G because we called it GroundCheck. We don't actually type the GroundCheck script name. Okay, we're gonna do dot, and you can see we can already have all of those basic functions, and other functions from the script. And the one we actually need is the isGrounded function. Now, the last reason we're seeing an error here because we don't have our curly brackets here. And if condition is a function, so we have to add those curly brackets. So right now, everything is quite ready, I believe. Let's see if it works out. Oh, one last thing we forgot to do. If you remember, we opened a serialized field for the GroundCheck, meaning that out of the RedRunner, right over here, we need to associate the place of the script, the game object of the script, sorry. Now, there are ways to go around it. Okay, we can find object of type or use different kind of coding. And I believe there's a developer out there who can really make it a bit smarter. But as far as I'm considered, that took the less amount of energy and it's quite straightforward. So if you have a better way to do it, write it in the comments. And let's check it out and let's see if we have a footstep that is being called mid-air. Okay. Cool. So there you have it. We just solved our last bug. And I think even though you can learn about Boolean and about if conditions and how we can access different script in Unity from a specific script, you can also tap in, and I think that's the actual crucial thing here. You can tap here into how we can think when it comes to game development if we want to solve different issues. Okay, I have a footstep that has been called mid-air. Let's try and actually thinking about the process here to have the most simple solution here without trying to overcode and overcomplicate things here. And I believe that was quite straightforward. And the second thing to take here is to actually, before you jump into conclusion about how you should solve a bug you have, just talk to your developer about if there's any kind of mechanism that can help you with the bug you're having. Because again, it's really important to really tap into what is causing the bug or how you actually describe the problem to your programmer, because he can probably, conclude several different stuff if I will tell him there's an extra footsteps playing mid-air. I should really explain to him what I think is happening or how the functions I wrote look like, or just like, actually take a screen screen recording of the problem you're having here. Okay, so before we move on to the UI buttons, quickly catch up on what we did here. So as I said, we want to reference the GroundCheck script. Oh, wait, let me take my camera to the left side. Okay. We want to access the GroundCheck script that checks on every frame if the RedRunner is touching the ground or not. And we want to retrieve a Boolean value of true or false. True if the RedRunner is touching the ground, or it will be false if the RedRunner is not touching the ground. Wait. Okay. So first of all, we wrote down an if function that is being called on each footsteps animation event. If you remember correctly, we have those animation events that's calling the footsteps audio on the actual running animation. Now, this if function is referencing the isGrounded function from the GroundCheck script, and it returns the current value that it actually had on that specific frame of the call. All right, so the if function here call this function on the GroundCheck script, and on that specific frame that it's being called, it's going to retrieve the true or false value. And let's say we have the true value being returned. We're going to go through the whole function here with the whole audio clip array and everything we talked about. But if we get a false, then the function returns, or saying in other words, just will not run through here. Okay. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the actual UI buttons we have in the game. Now let's return to the scene here. And you see as I'll press play, and of course the whole loading screen will be activated and disappear. We have all those buttons here we can click on, and currently they have no sounds. So the play button is a button. Now Unity has a very neat feature that's called Unity Events. It actually placed it on one of its templated game objects like UI buttons. Of course, there's many ways to actually create a Unity event, but Unity actually placed it on its UI buttons game object. Now we can just right click under the hierarchy here, go to UI, button, and ignore the text mesh pro, irrelevant for now. And if we scroll all the way down, you will see this little tab here that says on click. It means on click, literally on click with the mouse function. And currently it says we have an empty list. But if we click on the plus sign here, you'll see it's open all of those tabs that we can associate with game objects here that might have scripts on it. But on our relevant case, we're gonna have audio sources on those game objects, and we're gonna be able to call all those different functions that an audio source have. And you're gonna see that those functions are literally the same functions as we had on the C# scripting. That's just another way to reference those same functions, only with a ready-made tab here that Uni has for us. So let's delete this game object because we don't actually need it. Cool. And first thing, let's actually add our audio. So let's go to our audio, SFX, open our ready-made SFX folder here, UI buttons. Let's open a folder called UI over here. Enter and just drag and drop. And you will see that here we have a button for the normal kind of button when we click a button. And we have one for those exit, X, cancel, back kind of buttons. Generally, right out of the box, I tend to split those UI buttons family into the more positive and negative kind of buttons, like, confirmation, play, opening a menu, whatever, or selecting something, or canceling, going back, returning, closing, all of those kind of buttons. Now, if you remember, right now we're gonna just right click here, create empty. We're gonna call it source. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna type audio source, and we're gonna have all this thing through. Now we can skip that process and just highlight those two audio clips and literally drag and drop them under this audio prefab here. And let's wait. Okay, now it's under the prefab. And what we actually did is creating an audio source for each of those audio clips, and it's already made with the audio clips associated to each audio source here. Now you probably see this little plus sign here as we drag the game object under the audio game object prefab, and this plus sign is actually telling us, hey man, you just did some changes to this prefab, but it's only happening locally on this scene. You haven't changed the prefab globally. If you want to add them to your prefab, just go to the prefab and override the changes to make those two game objects part of your global prefab. And we're going to do so after we're finishing setting up everything. Next up, let's go to the audio mixer and open a UI master group. Cool. Under this UI group, let's open buttons. Currently, I think we only need one group. I don't think we need any more. Let's make the music master group the last one. Paint that red because it's a master, and this one gonna be okay, different color. And let's make sure our view is okay, all view okay, master view. We do need the U, RedRunner view. Okay, that looks fine. Let's select those two game objects and lock this one. Grab the buttons group, drag it all the way here, take off the play on the wake, and we're ready to go. So now we can actually, let's unlock this inspector. We can click here. If you see, I clicked on the audio parent game object. Over here on the overrides, we can open it, and it will tell me if I want to overwrite the audio prefab or I want to revert my changes to how the actual global prefab looks like. And I just want to apply it to the global prefab. So right now, it's part of my prefab, so cool. Now, you can see that it's gonna be a bit hard to look for our buttons because we're having this loading screen. Literally, it's the first canvas or the first screen we're seeing here. And we wanna, put it away so we can actually work on our buttons. So over here, under canvases, you will see all of the relevant canvases we have in the game. It's literally the background that all of this 2D game is happening on. So we're gonna have the in-game screen, the whole clouds and ambience thingy. We're gonna have the pause screen, the end screen starts with windows, and there you have it, the loading screen. Now we can click on this eye here to actually, remove it from the editor, or we can disable the game object. Now for our purposes, it might look the same, but if I'll disable this game object or tick here, you will see that as I press play, we won't see this loading screen game object, and we're gonna have this weird phenomena of the game actual loading with no loading screen. This is why I would recommend to not play around with this disabling or enabling game objects, because in case you forget it, it can be a real annoying for the rest of the team to actually press play and what? Some game objects have been disappeared and everybody tries to figure out what happened, and it's just because, the sound guy just ticked it off. So don't do that. So I would much rather walk with the eye here to just hide it. And you can see that Unity also always showing me that this game object currently is being hidden. Right now, if I'll press play, I will see the loading screen game objects happening and everything is cool. Nonetheless, don't forget to untick this eye so you can return the scene to be as it was before. Cool. So when I'll take off the loading screen, I will see this buyout pop-up. I believe it's just it's the actual company that developed the game, I believe. Never mind. Let's hide that as well. And now we can see all of the buttons we're having in our game. We're literally seeing all the canvases right now because nothing ordered them to call which one when. You won't see all of those buttons. Some of them will be called on the start screen, some on the pause screen, some on the game over screen, but we can see them all here. Cool. So let's literally just start adding sounds to our button. So let's open the start screen, which have most of the button, and literally just highlight all of the buttons we have in this screen. You can see literally the word button near them. Not the exit button. As I said, the exit is going to be a different sound. So the info, the help, and the play. And if I scroll down, you will see they all have the on-click Unity event here. And let's just click plus here. And literally drag over the UI global button. And now you see this no function drop-down menu has been available. Click that one, go to the audio source, and you can see all the functions that are related to our audio source. So let's select the play. You also have play one shot, by the way, we're gonna go over it. And right now, I've associated this game object to every button on this menu. And whenever the player will click on that button, we're gonna have this audio source playing. Now, usually, as you can see, as you can see more functions here, usually developers or programmers will use those on-click or those Unity events to trigger other stuff. I press the play button, take out the start screen canvas and load up the in-game canvas and actually start the game. So usually developers will use those on-click functions to actually trigger other functions. We can definitely use that for our audio sources as well. So now when I'll press play, I'll hope we're gonna hear all of my clicks. Okay. Cool. Open to Facebook. Yup. Now, right now, I think it's a bit low in volume, but we'll check it out later when we mix it. Let's just go to the exit button. This is the button where I believe you actually exit the game when you build it. And let's use the plain one shot for this one and see how it actually looks like. So let's add a function here, drag the UI global exit button, drop down menu, audio source, and select the play one shot. Now, if you remember from when we scripted the play one shot function, Visual Studio, or the Unity event in our case, is looking for an audio clip. The play one shot function always look for an audio clip to play through an audio source. It will never actually use the associated audio clip to this audio source. Nonetheless, because this UI global exit button game object has only one purpose, and it's to play this single button audio clip, I don't mind using play one shot or play on different buttons, and yes, you can do that. Let's go over to project and just drag and drop this audio clip. Press play. And now we can see that the play one shot function also works. I think it's a bit louder. Yeah, it's a bit louder. We're gonna take care of it. Now, what's our actual considerations here? You know, just like with the audio source.play or the audio source play one shot we had in our Visual Studio, also here it's only for us to decide if we want to allow the audio clips to actually cut each other or playing overlap. So let's say, I don't know, for some reason the player decided to spam a button. This button will not be spammed. You can see that also the play function sounds quite okay, but the play one shot will just allow the UI button sounds to play in overlap. In our scenario, it's not that important, but it is crucial for me to show you that you can use both of those functions from the Unity events themselves. Cool. Let's continue on to the end screen, and we have the home button here. Open a new tab, drag that one in, audio source, play, exit, and reset. Both are return SFX as far as I'm considered. Cool. Pause screen, we have the sound button. Cool. So this, the resume, interesting, I'm not sure. Huh. Sound button and the home button. Ah, okay. Sorry, they both have the on click. They're a different game object, so they both have on click, but it doesn't show together. Never mind. Let's do that one by one then. Audio source, play, click on the home one, drag it, open audio source and play, exit and resume. You guessed it. It's a negative, I think. It's the other sound, yeah. Okay, and now we have the in-game screen. We have the pause button. For sure, it's gonna be the UI global button. Cool. Play. And that's it. Oh, we have the windows we hidden. So we have this buyout. When you click, you just have like this X button. So let's associate this one. It's pattern image. No, it's the loading screen, sorry. Go to the info, background, close button. Cool. Click here, drag and drop, audio source, play, and let's hide this info. Go to the help one. Cool. Same thing here, close button, open it up, drag it over here, function, audio source, play. And this is it. Like, you know, generally speaking, like, you know, you just associate it, just dragging and dropping, look for the easiest way to actually do it. And then you have sounds for your buttons. It's like that simple. Now, it's not necessarily how you're going to do it on every project or every game. It's really up to how the game is being programmed and developed. But again, one of the most simple ways to do it is using Unity events. Whether it's the actual template Unity has for its, like, you know, UI game objects, or it's something that a developer actually built for you. To be honest, I've been working with both cases on different projects. Unity events are quite, you know, it's really used around different projects, to say the least. So let's return this info and loading, and let's test it out. Let's open the audio mixer. And let's see how it feels. Yay, okay. I can run, and do stuff, do this flip, click here, play. Opa! The play is back. Interesting. We need to do something different for this. Okay. Cool. Now, I do feel like the global exit button is a bit louder. At least too loud for my taste. Now, again, we have three ways we can tackle this one. We can literally just re-export the audio clip, which I think is the better option in this specific case. It's not like, you know, categorical for all these cases. For this specific one, I probably just export it a bit lower in volume. We can open a new group for the exit button, but I think it's a bit an overkill. Or in that actual scenario, we can just take the volume down from the audio source. Why is that? It's gonna be quite easy to know where the global exit button is located. So it's not hidden under some kind of a game object that is specific to one scene and we're gonna get lost finding it. It'll be quite easy to find it. We don't want to open a new group for it. It's gonna be a bit of an overkill here. And for sure, I know for this specific button, I'm not gonna do any kind of randomization or change different parameters. I just want to take a specific amount for this kind of an audio clip. Let's check it out. Okay. With the music now. Let's take the music a bit lower, I think. Yeah, I have this bug. One of those things I don't know how to solve because, again, I'm not a full-on developer. I don't know why it does not disappear and it shows the canvases behind the actual game. But, again, I think right now it's okay, volume-wise. Yeah, we're cool. So, okay. We solved our last bug we have with the RedRunner locomotion where we played, this audio clip mid-air, this running audio clip. And we added sounds to all of our buttons, literally UI sounds. And you saw how we can use different kind of sounds, different kind of buttons. Again, I believe that right now it was quite straightforward for you. Probably some of you could have guessed how we did it here. To be honest, I would recommend to add an extra special sound for that play button. I think it's a bit boring with the UL global button. Maybe I'll change it on the next video, I don't know. But for sure, in the next video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna dive in for collecting all of those coins around the map. So we're gonna again dive even deeper to C# and scripting for this specific thing. And you see, whenever we're collecting a coin, we also have this particle effects over there. So we're gonna solve all of those issues. Now, I'm not sure if we're gonna do it on the next video, but I also want to, right after we're implementing the coin collecting sounds, it's actually adding this water ambience. So whenever we're passing near this water pond or block, I don't know how you want to call it, you're gonna hear water playing from it. And this is gonna be actually our first use case for a 3D sound, because I want that whenever the RedRunner is running away from a water or getting closer to water, you're gonna hear it approach or going out, left or right, depends on the orientation of the RedRunner here. So, thank you for watching this video, and I'll make sure to upload the next video sooner than how I uploaded this video. So until next time, bye-bye.